Hi, I'm Jessica Rednicki with Reynolds and Reynolds. Welcome back to Connected. Today I'm speaking with Jonah Newberg, account executive at Reynolds and Reynolds, about digitizing the business office. Let's get connected. Hi, Jonah. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, in previous episodes, we've talked about digitizing both the sales and service departments, but today I'd really like to focus on the business office. So, you're someone who helps dealerships make their accounting and HR processes more efficient. So, I think it's safe to say that you know a thing or two about streamlining workflows in this area specifically. So, my first question for you, Jonah, is why do you think some business offices are so hesitant to move away from those manual processes and adopt new technology in this area?
Honestly, it's the status quo. When you've been doing something a certain way for so long, changing that process or the tools you use can be kind of scary for a lot of these dealerships and dealer employees. And I believe this is why people are hesitant at first to change something that they've done for years. But when people do ultimately make that switch to invest in tools and processes that save them time, it really does make all the difference. Just in speaking with some of our customers, they find it hard to believe that they had the time to do a lot of these manual tasks that they had been performing in the past. But the truth is, the way we look at it is they never really had the time. They had to make the time, which I believe many dealership employees are going through today, having basically set aside time in their busy days to run these manual processes that can now be streamlined with the right technology. So when we think about the business office, paper pretty much dictates every action they take. Paper documentation, paper checks, paper deal jackets, paper time cards, paper. So because of this, their processes have historically been linear because there's no other way to do it. But thankfully, in today's world, there is technology out there that does allow the business office to operate more efficiently and effectively, really giving employees back more time in their days.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned all that paper, Jonah, because historically, when I think about the business office and how that's run and how and what it looks like, I can just picture like, you walk into the dealership and the back office and there's banker boxes everywhere, right? So they're stacked ceiling high. I've even seen pictures sometimes of offices that are literally creating their cubicles out of these banker boxes. So
Exactly, and it's funny that you mentioned that because it really does look like that for many dealers still today. We like to call it the paper monster that just keeps growing. But in all seriousness, it is an issue that dealers need to get in front of, so they're not continuing down the path of drowning in paper.
absolutely. Well, then I would love to hear about what you're seeing in dealerships who've switched from doing everything manually, switched from all this paper to using electronic tools and processes. So, what specific areas are they seeing improvement in?
Yeah, a lot. So, I mean, contrary to popular belief, there's many areas within the business office that can be simplified and streamlined by going digital. Just to name a few of those departments, for instance, human resources. So in HR, the ability to transfer data automatically from an employee's initial job application to payroll, HR accounts, really saves them a lot of time and eliminates rekeying employee information, which is huge when it comes to the back office. And we just talked about document storage. Being able to store, search through, and purge documents electronically really eliminates the need to archive and sift through physical paper documents. Again, saving time, and a big thing is maintaining compliance. That's obviously on top of mind for a lot of dealers today in this digital world. And then something they do every day, timekeeping. Doing this electronically allows you to create work schedules, approve time cards quickly and accurately. That's a key word, is accurately, and pull instant reports on any exceptions over time to really have a good handle on the timekeeping and hourly employees in your store. Um, and then the last thing I would say is accounting as a whole. Just having a single place within your DMS to manage vendor payment, reconciliation, outstanding balances, deal jackets really can save the dealership a ton of time and a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like there are quite a few areas within the business office as a whole that can be streamlined. I specifically like that you mentioned reconciliation because I've talked to a few controllers and office managers in the past who've told me that it's not uncommon for them to spend hours, even days, reconciling bank statements manually.
Yeah, I come across that all the time. Reconciliation is definitely a process that can be improved by going digital. The controllers I'm sure that you've spoken with probably track everything manually in a spreadsheet. That's what I see a lot. They have the same process that they've had for the past however many years. Um, in service, for instance, cashiers printing the receipt, stapling it to an invoice, and then someone's running that up to accounting. Accounting then has to manually go through those receipts to make sure everything matches. So the reason that we're seeing them spend a lot of time reconciling is likely because of duplicate information, manual entry error, which obviously we know whenever there's manual entry, there's room for error. So what we see when we adopt an automated systematic process, being able to pinpoint discrepancies takes less time. Manage your cash flow is significantly easier, and really giving controllers and the people in the accounting back precious time in their day so they can focus on what's really important in the stores.
Yeah. Well, that's great information, Jonah. I'm sure controllers could use those extra hours, especially as we near end of year. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. But before we hop off, and while we still have the audience, is there anything else that you would like to add or share today?
Yeah, so like one thing I would like to add really takes us back to that topic of status quo that we discussed at the beginning of this conversation. Status quo, really, it's some of the most dangerous words in our industry today. It is so easy to get lured into a long stretch of doing the same thing over and over and over again, where years can go by, and one day you wake up and you realize that while you feel safe doing that same process over and over, you aren't really gaining any traction on your long-term goals. So as we know, dealers are not just competing with the dealers down the road, the dealers down the street any longer. They are really competing with the retail industry as a whole, especially when it comes to customer experience and customer service. So moving forward, innovation and challenging the status quo is really going to be one of the keys to success. And we here at Reynolds are here to partner with the dealerships to make that happen.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that, Jonah, and thanks again for taking the time to speak with me today.
You bet.
Jonah shared some great insights today on the important role technology can play in the efficiency of the business office. Before we hop off, just a quick reminder, you can watch or listen to past and future podcast episodes on YouTube or Apple and Spotify podcasts by searching for the Connected Podcast. Subscribe on these channels to get notified every other Wednesday when new episodes are released. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in 2 weeks.